Hey guys, Anfal here. This is not the typical video that I usually make for you guys, but I don't really know how to address this concern of mine other than making a video and hopefully get people talking about it. I'm making this video to talk about a new game system that comes in MOP Classic that is called the Black Market Auction House. Just a quick background. The Black Market Auction House is a special vendor that is run by Madame Goya, tucked away at the Veiled Stairs in Pandaria, so you have to be physically near the Black Market Auction House to be able to access it. Unlike the regular auction house, you can't sell your items here, you can only buy. And every 24 hours, a random selection of ultra rare items will appear. It could be mounts, trading card game loot, old tier 3 transmogs, and more crucially for the game that we are about to play, 509 epic gear in off-piece slots. It could be bracers, necklaces, capes, rings, boots. This is a huge concern of mine. As I'm heading into Mist of Pandaria, I'm aware that the item level of the gear that we will have available to us at the race to World First Tier 14 is way below the item level gear that might appear on the Black Market Auction House. So how will this work in practicality? Basically, the maximum possible bid you can put up on the Black Market Auction House is just below 1 million gold. Usually, the auctions start at a set minimum, let's say 10k for epic gear, and you have to outbid the current highest bid by at least 5%. However, if somebody were to bid the gold cap of just below 1 million, nobody can outbid them because they can't have more gold on them. This is the absolute ceiling for how much gold a single item can go for on the Black Market Auction House. An item will remain up for 24 hours since it first appeared, and the highest bid at the end will win. There's no buyout mechanic. But the practical impact of people bidding gold cap is that in MOP Classic, the 509 Black Market Auction House gear will almost always go for gold cap on competitive servers, especially before the race to tier 14, where getting this is 20 item levels higher than, let's say, Valor gear, which is already a limited resource depending on how many Valor lockouts we get before the actual race. When I was first introduced to the idea of Black Market Auction House, I really didn't know what to think about it. First, I was happy about the fact that we get a gold sink in Classic, because Classic right now has a huge inflation problem where years of rampant botting has created gold and currency that is still floating around in GDKPs and just sitting in gold banks for people everywhere. So I was excited. However, there's a big problem when you think about the competitive aspect of WoW Classic and Black Market Auction House. These 509 pieces are better than anything you can get outside of heroic raids at launch and Valor rewards. Any guild pushing for World First, this means that Black Market Auction House isn't just a curiosity or something for vanity, it's a must. If you want to compete, you need these auctions to go to your guild. Especially you want to deny them for your competition, or you risk being simply outgeared by somebody who did. This completely warps the pre-raid gearing process of MOP Classic. Instead of focusing on maybe going for dungeons, valor, reputation grinds, getting that super rare 0.2% fifth weapon from Shadowpan, it becomes more about the most competitive guilds funneling gold and resources to buy every possible black market auction house slot, giving their raiders a massive stat advantage in the first week. Now, most of the competitive guilds in MOP Classic are sitting on a server called Gehennas, but this is where things take a bad turn. There's something called a server hopping meta when it comes to the black market auction house. Because black market auction houses listings are server specific and random, top guilds can spread their roster across multiple servers to maximize the number of 509 items that they can buy before the actual race. After gearing up, they simply transfer those characters back to their main mother server to gather all of their best geared players and go for the raid launch. There are gold caps on character transfers in Classic. At level 85, it's 50k gold per character. And if we're talking about bidding gold cap to win stuff, this seems like a natural protection for guilds to spread out their roster across multiple servers if they can only have 50k gold, right? But players can get around this by sending materials and then use the auction house to transfer wealth onto the new server. or they could leverage WoW tokens to create gold on the new servers. This means that with enough planning and resources for a guild can effectively buy a world first advantage by gaming the black market auction house and transfer systems. This is really bad for competition, as it really isn't about skill, prep, teamwork. It's about who has the deepest pockets and the most time to camp out the black market auction house on the most servers, and the willingness to shuffle the roster around and spread them thin. Turns World First raiding in MOP Classic into a gold spending contest and rewards unhealthy gameplay, gold hoarding, luck over actual gameplay. It also creates this sort of sad situation where really rich players will go to unpopulated servers to buy items from the people that usually consider that their main server. Frankly, just thinking about this gives me a headache. And if Blizzard wants a fair competitive race, like that's ever happened, the black market auction house, especially with the 509 off pieces, should have no place in the pre-gearing process for this tier 14 release. Until tier 14 comes out, you could expect that most competitive guilds will exploit this loophole and everybody else will play catch up. Just a quick recap so we're all on board. For competitive guilds in MOP Classic, the gold cap system encourages splitting raid rosters across multiple servers to maximize black market auction house access for all of your raiders across multiple servers. The gold transfer limit can be circumvented, and this creates a pay-to-win gearings arms race that heavily favors players and guilds with the most gold and not the most skill. We're all on board with this, I hope. But I'm gonna now present some of the flawed solutions I see to this game system making it to live. I will now present some of the flawed solutions that maybe I've theory crafted to this mechanic making it to live. And number one would be for Blizzard to simply intervene and not allow 509 item level items on the black market auction house until tier 14 raids open. Meaning that when MOP goes live up until raids open, these 509 items cannot appear. Number two would be that a third party would intervene, and that would be Warcraft logs. Maybe Warcraft logs could blacklist logs of guilds using more than 489 item level that they got outside of the raids. And the third one is maybe we as a community can solve this. Guilds can come up with a gentleman's agreement that they won't server hop en masse to boost their item level. However, all of these proposed solutions have very big flaws. But all of these solutions have issues. So, solution number one, Blizzard intervening. Blizzard removing item level 509 items from the black market auction house until raids would open could be the most direct fix. But as you guys have probably noticed over the years of following competitive WoW, this would also create a financial conflict of interest for Blizzard. The black market auction house system effectively creates two new revenue streams for Blizzard. Number one, the WoW token purchases that guilds would need to transfer players and then maybe to create more gold on the new server to fund the black market auction house bidding is a revenue stream Blizzard is very interested in. Number two, character transfer fees when hopping back to the original server would also create more revenue for Blizzard. This entire pay-to-gear model is likely intentional, and Blizzard has historically been reluctant to intervene in system to generate revenue, even when that would affect competitive integrity. However, on retail, this isn't as much of a problem, as current raiding gear is not on the black market auction house the same way as it would be in MOP Classic, so maybe Blizzard will take the same approach as they have done on retail and fix it. Solution number two would be that Warcraft logs start blacklisting certain items. Warcraft logs could theoretically police this by invalidating logs from players with pre-509 gear, but they didn't intervene with a tier 12 Valor exploit back in Firelands where people were gaining Valor points that they weren't allowed to get. It could also be a bit technically challenging for Warcraft logs to figure out which 509 items that come from legitimate sources versus black market auction house. Let's say a guild sends a 10-man group to do one of the raids and then summons in one of those players that has now received a 509 item that could have also appeared on the black market auction house, but now it's being used in the Race the World First. How would Warcraft Logs police this? It could also punish entire guilds for individual purchasing decisions. If a player in a guild would purchase a 509 cloak and then play in a guild, and that invalidates that guild's entire claim to compete, is that really fair? And solution number 3, which would be if there could be a gentleman's agreement to not migrate and min-max black market auction house, a few things could happen. Progress, Newman, whoever else wants to compete, sit in a Discord call and they discuss that this is a system that is coming and we want to not partake in this. Let's have a gentleman's agreement. One outcome from such a meeting would be A, guilds disagree, and one of them or many of them simply say, no, we will do it, go fuck yourself. B, guilds had no idea that this was even a possibility, and they gently thank the guild that brought it up for the awareness, and they will exploit it. And C, guilds openly say, yes, let's not do this, smile, but instead they plan to do it behind their competition's back, but this time with less competition for the items and possibly getting the items way cheaper than if guilds were fighting over the items on many servers. This gentleman system or honor system approach is probably the most flawed because the competitive advantage is too significant to pass up on by a simple handshake deal for these guilds. Even if guilds would agree publicly, the incentive to secretly exploit would be irresistible to some players for sure. And yeah, it's just unlikely that you're gonna be able to get all of the guilds that are competing in Classic to agree on this. The black market auction house system represents a big shift where gold, which can be purchased nowadays through real money, through tokens, directly translates to power and likelihood to win in competitive PvE. Unlike previous expansions in WoW Classic where gold was important, MOP Classic introduces a true pay-to-win element to races, especially for early progression races through the 509 item levels in Black Market Auction House. Until Blizzard directly addresses this design issue, competitive guilds will have to face a difficult choice. Do we commit significant resources to black market auction house server hopping strategies, or do we accept a substantial gear disadvantage at the start of progression? Unfortunately, this introduced an economic barrier to competitive raiding that didn't exist in previous expansions. Without official intervention, this is likely to remain a controversial aspect of MOP. And personally, I am very discouraged to partake in this race if it turns out this becomes one of the deciding factors. Thank you so much if you sat through the entire video, and until next time, I am out. Ciao.